On today's show,
Trade winds be a blowin'. We debate the strength and likelihood of some NBA trade rumors as we near the deadline.
then we'll get into the trades that have happened. Tobias Harris is now a part of a promising young Pistons nucleus.
And we'll revisit the top 5 dunks from All-Star Saturday night's Gordon Levine duel.
It's Wednesday, February 17th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to the starters back in Atlanta. Whether you're listening to the podcast or joining us on NBA TV and or YouTube, we're happy to have you. I'm J.E. Skeets, and alongside me, as always, that's Tess Millis.
We're 20 hours away.
To his right, it's the international man of mystery, taking it to the max, Lee Ellis.
Lily.
And last, certainly not least, it's starters blog editor and 2016 dunk champ, Trey Kirby.
Hey-o!
Hey-o! Trey, you're back in front of your computer. What's up tonight?
Yeah, I'm here at the internet looking for your best tweets at #TheStarters. And as Skeets mentioned, I'm now a 2-time defending Starters dunk champion. Shout out to me, but if you were listening to the drop over the weekend, you may have heard tales of a mythical 5th dunk that I did that we didn't use in the show. And allow me to tell you, this is true. This is what I call the most social dunk in the world. It's called Blast the Jam.
Okay.
And I really hope you like it. Like it. Double tap this. Blast a quick selfie. We're going baseline. Taking a selfie the whole way? Are you kidding me? Legendary stuff. Let's see what he snapped. Oh, get up. You know I keep the leg flare going. Flip through. Gotta find the perfect one.
I saw you practice this here in Atlanta.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's pretty good.
And it's up on Instagram. Already got 348 likes. No big deal. But that's how you become a dunk champion. Innovation like that, nonetheless. Thank you to everybody who came out to our live shows, said hi to us while we're in Toronto, just generally made Toronto an incredible All-Star weekend for us. Keep tweeting us, #TheStarters. Gonna need your help a little bit later, so keep your Twitter fingers warm.
All right, great stuff, Trey. And again, congrats on
Thank
going
you.
back to back. All right.
Biggest day of the year for me.
We got a fun show tonight because the NBA trade deadline, as you mentioned there, Tass, it's less than 24 hours away, and the rumors are coming fast and furious. So now seems like the perfect time to bring back NBA trade wins. Here's how this works. I give you guys a player's name, someone who's been coming up in recent trade rumors and reports, and you tell me just how strong the trade wins are. And to make things simple, we have the trade wins scale. If there's nothing happening with this rumor, this name, you don't buy it, it's extremely unlikely, that's a level 1 sea breeze. Maybe there's a little something to it. And there's a little possibility this name could be traded by tomorrow. That's a strong gust. Level 3, it's a full 4 scale. That means you really do think it could happen. Strong possibility. And level 4, the highest level, it's an F5 tornado. You think this trade with this particular player is absolutely going to happen by 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Make sense?
Oh, yeah.
Play along at home on Twitter. Let's start with a name who's been coming up for weeks, it feels like. That is Rockets big man, Dwight Howard. Tass, how strong are the trade wins with Dwight Howard?
On that trade win scale, baby, it's an F5 tornado.
Oh, no.
I just wanted to
Why did you?
great. There goes the water. No, I actually do think Dwight Howard will be traded.
It's
The
a tornado.
Rockets have to get something for him.
Something just hit me there.
They're going into an offseason where Dwight could be a free agent.
Yeah.
You look at the way they play, they obviously don't love each other on the basketball floor. Dwight is a much sought after free agent. He will get paid a lot of money, and there are a lot of teams that have a lot of money to offer. He's gonna be leaving. They're gonna have to get something for him now. I think this is a lock.
You agree with this?
A lock I'm not so sure about, but the fact that it's so open that the Rockets are basically trying to push him away to somebody else shows just how far he's fallen off though in there. Because it was a huge move by Daryl Morey to sign him as a free agent, and now they're trying to basically say, all right, someone else take him, we're going to try to cash in on him now. To me, that tells me they don't look at him as a long-term solution, certainly if he does opt out in the summer, which we expect, and I think they're trying to see what they can get for him right now. But I think the problem with Dwight is he's relied so much on his athleticism in the past. Now, as that starts to leave him a little bit, he hasn't really developed a solid offensive game to fall back on. And maybe that is just lowering his value and lowering his impact, certainly for the Rockets.
One of the teams coming up in these rumors with Dwight Howard is the Miami Heat. Seen a couple things being thrown around. It would have to take a lot, but one of the centerpieces in the Heat possibility of going to the Houston Rockets for Dwight Howard is Hassan Whiteside. Now, he makes next to nothing compared to the salary that Dwight does, so that would take a lot of pieces. do you buy the idea of the team like the Heat trying to make a move for a guy like Dwight Howard? Pat Riley does like big names. He does.
I like the Charlotte Hornets as a better
You like
option.
this one?
Steve Clifford is the head coach of the Charlotte Hornets. He was the assistant coach with Dwight Howard back in the day when things were working out well. If Dwight Howard wants to relive the good days with the Magic, Steve Clifford was there from 07 to 2012. Plus, they know how to work with a big guy like they did Al Jefferson last season. I'm not saying you have to go to Dwight all the time, but a little bit more will make Dwight Howard happy. Then you got a guy like Cody Zeller, who I think would be in the return package,
Right.
along with Jefferson and probably Marvin Williams at the 4th, throw in a first-round pick. I think there is a deal there to be made. Mark Stein reported that the Charlotte Hornets could be an option. I like that better than the Heat.
Yeah, I think that's a lot to give up, though, for a guy who's going to opt out in the summer, though. That's where I don't think...
Yeah, I think they would bank on him coming
yeah,
back.
possibly.
But
I
Al
think-
Jefferson's not really a part of their future
No, Al
either.
Jefferson's not, but Zeller maybe, and
Yeah,
a
sure.
first-round pick as well. I don't think that would happen. Same with Pat Riley and the Heat. They're looking to shed salary right now. I don't think they want to take on Dwight.
Yeah, and then of course there's this unfortunate Chris Bosh news, and you wonder how this changes their possible trade deadline deals. Learning that he is now once again likely going to miss a big chunk of time here because of blood clotting. It's in his calf this time. He obviously didn't play in the All-Star game. He missed the final 30 games of last year because he had it in his lung. So wishing the best for Chris Bosh here, but this could come into play here in terms of moves they were maybe planning on
Yeah.
making, or maybe moves now they do make because of this news. All right.
Get well soon, CB.
That's right. Next one here, guys. Tass, go back to you. Cavaliers forward Kevin Love. There are some crazy trade rumors being thrown around with this guy's name.
Level 1.
You don't buy it.
Seabreeze, come on. I think LeBron James values consistency. He's referenced the San Antonio Spurs and that organizational consistency over and over and over again. When you look at what just happened there, Tyronn Lue coming in for David Blatt, I don't think you're going to trade a key part after changing your coach. I don't think that makes sense. I think if LeBron was GM, he would say, no chance we're trading Kevin Love at this point. We're going forward with what we got. Maybe a minor tinker. I'm not saying that they won't make a move, but Kevin Love is too big a part.
Yeah, to me it feels like Kevin Love is the guy that's going to be in trade rumors for the Cavs basically until they win a title because
Yep.
he's the guy that's not from Cleveland, right? LeBron was there. Obviously, we know the whole story. Kyrie Irving was drafted there. He's the most movable seeming guy. So I think that until the Cavs actually do something, get to the finals again, try and win, he's going to be in the trade rumors every single year until something happens.
No, I think that's exactly what it is with Kevin Love. It's almost like he's the punching bag when things don't go right. It's like, well, you can trade this guy and get something for him. But they just signed him to that massive contract. Unless they're getting something that they absolutely can't turn down in return.
Well, the Celtics could put together a package that
Yeah,
you
but they-
maybe in theory couldn't turn down.
But is that going to help their championship
that's
now?
No,
the thing.
that's I
the
agree
key.
with you there. That's
I mean,
the problem.
Yeah, they don't want draft picks and things like that right now. They need proven players who can go out there and win for them right now. I mean, the Cavs aren't looking long term. They're looking right now.
I would agree with you that it's a sea breeze, especially
Yeah.
even with the Celtics. It's like, what are you going to do? Trade really an offensive star still in
Yeah.
Kevin Love to a rival in your conference? One of the better teams, let's not forget, in
Yeah.
the East, the Celtics sort of in that top 4 right now. That seems very, very unlikely. But then again, there are mellow for Kevin Love,
Yeah.
fun being thrown around. It's a blast. All right, so we don't think this is very likely. All right, Lee, next one for you. Another huge name, hasn't been playing last little while. But Clippers forward Blake Griffin, where does he fall on the NBA trade win scale?
I'm going to say this one's a strong gust,
Okay.
slightly above a sea breeze. Now, if you'd asked me at the start of the season, I would have
Juicy.
said no chance
Right.
whatsoever. But given what's happened over the last few weeks and the last couple of months, I think the Clippers could be swayed into dealing him if they get the right offer because they're seeing on the court they're playing actually better without him. I know they've had a softish schedule.
Yeah, 18 and
But
5 over the last
23
23
games, though,
yeah.
is a quarter of the season. So there
Yeah.
is some sort of a sample size right there. And I think with Blake Griffin is maybe they were just trying to go through him a little bit too much, perhaps, and they've just found that they're working a little bit better without him. So it's something that I don't think it's going to happen, but I think sometimes in that crazy last hour of the trade deadline, some other team might just say, hey, we'll give you X player for him, and the Clippers could be tempted. I don't think he's completely off the table.
I think Blake Griffin is in his prime, along with 3 other guys in his prime, in their prime, and Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, JJ Redick looks incredible.
Yeah.
You're not going to get great value, the best value for Blake Griffin. I mean, he's a top
Yeah,
10 player.
awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I know.
And now with the way he's been injured, you're not going to get the proper value back. And they're better with Blake Griffin on the floor. They want to win now, as I mentioned, all those guys in their prime. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
to me.
It feels
look,
impossible that they would trade him without him wanting out. He's the guy who put the Clippers on the map. He's like the first marketable star the Clippers have ever had. It just seems weird to me that they would say, we had our fun with you, but see you later, guy.
But
wanting to be out of there.
Right now, though, I think with this hand injury that he suffered, that really annoyed the franchise. I
I think
But when are they
everyone
gonna
would
get
agree
back?
with that.
They'll
That
get
doesn't mean
over
you
it.
go and trade him, though. That doesn't mean that. You're jumping.
Yeah, well, based
Look,
on...
Clippers GM and coach Doc Rivers
Yeah.
says we're not trading him.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
You don't think that
No,
means
it doesn't mean it. Coaches and GMs always say, oh, we're not trading this guy, we're not trading that guy. That's only to try to drive up his value. I think right now he could be someone that the Clippers would listen to if they get an offer that someone just blows them away.
And there's the
You
possibility
need a
of,
top 10 part, I think.
holding out
And maybe
for a
they will.
possibility sign and trade with Kevin Durant. And those are
Well,
rumors.
I
that
know.
are
I
flying
mean, they're
around.
not getting Kevin Durant, but I just think that he's not completely off the table. I think they'll
All
take
right.
calls on him.
Time for one more here. Task back to you here. Bulls big man, Pau Gasol. Trade wins. Where does he fall? This is sort of a new development to some extent with Woj today.
I'm feeling gusty. I think this is a nice, strong... Gus, I do. I think Pau Gasol is part of a team right now that's one game out of falling out of the playoffs. So the Bulls might want to just tear it up while Jimmy Butler is also out. Their team does not look good whatsoever, and Jimmy Butler re-injured his knee. Who knows when he's coming back? This team has all the bigs they want under contract going forward, and Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, and Nikola Mirotic. Pau might not be a part of the future, and this also helps them get under the tax line. Don't want to talk about Bucks, but this
Yeah.
is part of it. 2 years ago, they did the same thing when they traded Luol Deng. When things weren't looking good, Derrick Rose out that season. Things aren't looking good for this team. They don't look great. Pau's not a part of their future. Save money. I'm gusty.
There's mixed reports, though, saying the Bulls are taking calls and other teams are saying that Bulls are aggressively pursuing a trade. I think it's more the first case. I think the Bulls will listen, but I don't think they want to trade him. I mean, he's been a very valuable piece for them for the time he's been there, and I don't think they're out there trying to shop him.
All right, let's hear what you guys think on Twitter, hashtag the Stars. Of course, there's many other names being thrown around here over the last couple days. A few other guys possibly on the block, players rumored to be traded by the deadline. Couple Hawks in Horford, Teague, and Kyle Korver.
Kyle Korver, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say
Kyle
there.
Korver, the Cavs. I
Thaddeus
can see
Young,
that happening.
Markieff Morris, Rudy Gay, Ryan Anderson, Channing Frye, goes on and on and on. We will find out, of course, by
yeah,
Why are we
yeah,
doing
yeah.
it? Why don't we're just wasting
Watch the water.
good paper
Just trying to make us
basically.
unhealthy.
All
Yeah.
right. We got a trade deadline
man.
special
See you
tomorrow.
at
That'll
the,
be
see you at
6
the
p.m.
debris
ER.
budget is
Trade
crazy.
deadline 6 tomorrow for an hour.
What a waste. What a complete waste. We might be doing this tomorrow. Now someone's got to clean all this up. All right, when we come back, forget the juicy trade rumors. We've got actual trades to break down. Come on back. You're watching The Starters. Back with The Starters, we've discussed the trade rumors, but we had some actual trades yesterday, and we'll start with this one. The Orlando Magic agreed to send young forward Tobias Harris to the Pistons in exchange for Brandon Jennings and forward Ersan Ilyasova. Harris in the first year of his $64 million contract. No picks going back and forth in this one, which is a little bit surprising. But Tass, what did you think of this? Are you pro Pistons on this one, pro Magic, or it's a wash?
I think the Pistons got a great return for Brandon Jennings and Ersan Ilyasova.
I would agree.
Tobias Harris, not having his great year, dropped off from his 17 points per game last year, shooting the ball 3 times less. He is not a prominent role in Scott Skiles' offense as he was last year, but he is a very, very solid foundational piece. If you looked at the Magic, you'd probably say he is the one that could turn out to be a foundational piece out of all those guys. Didn't seem to work out with Scott Skiles. But for a guy in Brandon Jennings, who's a free agent this offseason, and Ersan Ilyasova, who's basically non-guaranteed for next year, you get a guy who has a 4-year, $64 million contract. The Pistons basically got their free agent right now. I mean, a lot of players wouldn't go to Detroit this offseason because there's so many teams with money, even if they have cap space, but they make a move for him right now. Basically, they don't have to go into free agency and find a big
Yeah, it's sort of similar to what they did with Reggie Jackson last year. They're almost, this is sort of their free agency, you're right, making these moves. And not having to give up a pick is shocking to me in this exchange. This is a great play by the Pistons.
Yeah, it seems that way. The only concern for me is, though, the Orlando Magic signed him to that 4-year, $64 million deal. He's only 23, and they've traded him already. They've already given up on him a little bit already. Is there something they know that the Pistons don't? I mean, he is a good player. His numbers, as you mentioned, Tass, aren't quite where they were last year.
Well, he was in a contract here last year, too. He had that bump.
But it seems to me just a little bit of a red flag that there's something there that the Magic were like, okay, I mean, you want young guys. You want young guys who you sign.
They still gave up basically nothing.
Yeah, they gave up guys that were probably gone.
The Pistons.
Yeah.
yeah. I know,
Brandon
but that's
Jennings
what I'm
wasn't
saying.
coming
Like,
back.
why have Orlando given up on him already?
Yeah, I
the guy
understand.
that they signed last year. I mean, you want a young guy on your team who you're going to build around, and they're like, all right, get rid of him.
But that's what I'm saying. If you don't have to give up any future picks, any young
Yeah.
players yourself, why wouldn't you if you're the Pistons, a team that hasn't made the playoffs in what, 6 seasons running?
I'm saying it's good for the Pistons.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying you should be a little bit worried that the Magic is giving him up for virtually nothing in return. If you're not getting a first-round pick or something like that, you're like, well, we'll just take those contracts and get rid of those guys. They're just giving him away in a lot of sense. The
Yeah,
Magic.
they're going to stay on with their very, very young core. Scott Skiles seems to have a bit of influence with his personnel. The one difference between last year and this year is Scott Skiles is the coach.
Yeah.
And he wasn't last year, so maybe he doesn't get along.
I mean, maybe
with the
that's
vice
it,
head.
yeah.
And because he had Brandon Jennings and Ersan Ilyasova back in his Bucks days, maybe he can coach them.
All right, moving on. We had another trade. Not as juicy, I think, as that one. It was a 3-team deal, but it involved Memphis, Charlotte, and Miami. Now, the Grizzlies, they sent Courtney Lee to the Hornets for P.J. Hairston and 2 second-round picks. The Heat, meanwhile, acquired Hornets backup guard Brian Roberts, not to be confused with Bip Roberts, former
Shout
baseball
out to
player,
Bip Roberts.
in the deal by sending 2 other second-round picks to the Grizzlies, as well as the Birdman, Chris Anderson. So you add it up there, the Grizzlies landing 4 second-round picks in total, and Courtney Lee, the big piece of this 3-way deal, going to the Hornets.
Yeah, I'm sort of interested from the Heat side. They save a ton of money.
Yeah.
And would that have led into or just been the trigger for a big trade before the trade deadline? That's what I was wondering. But now that Chris Bosh is gone, does that change things? I
Right.
thought the Miami Heat may be trying to get along stronger. The Courtney Lee, obviously, a nice little
Yeah,
pickup.
well, the Heat tried to do that with Chalmers, though. They're basically just trying to save money, I think. But Courtney Lee's not too bad for the
Especially with the Michael Kidd-Gilchrist
Yeah, they
injury.
needed a guy
They
on the wing.
They
Yeah.
need some more scoring. They need some more wing help. He's always been a good defender.
Yeah.
Can hit the 3.
reliable veteran.
When he wants to shoot, just shoot it, Courtney.
All right, we got to take a
flag.
break. A couple trades there. Hopefully have some more tomorrow. But when we come back, we revisit the top 5 slams from All-Star Saturday night. Welcome back to the starters. Don't mind the mess. It's just NBA trade deadline season is upon us, and the trade winds are a-blowing. Yeah, look at this. Who cleans this up?
Straight up garbage all over the place.
Probably us.
No, probably not.
Oh, good. All right, let's go back to Saturday night. Let's revisit the slam dunk contest. I want to talk about this a little bit, but first, top 5 dunks from it.
It was phenomenal. This was Levine's first dunk, getting us off to a great start. Look how smooth he is. This was obviously his first attempt, going behind the back. Seemingly everything was done on the first attempt that night.
Yeah, and that's what made it great.
He's
huge
so
part
smooth.
of it. Huge part of it. And the reactions. At number 4, it was Air Gordon's first dunk in the championship round. Got some help there from Stuff, the Magic mascot, who's on a hoverboard spinning. He times it perfectly, 360s it with one hand, throws a little Karl Malone in there. I mean, that's an awesome dunk.
Right after that, Zach LaVine basically did the same thing, but on a bounce to himself without a mascot.
You can hear Devlin yelling, "No mascots needed," right now. That is unbelievable. Those aren't even the best dunks. That's what's nuts. At number 2, we stick with LaVine. It's the last dunk of the night. It's a guy jumping from what, 14 feet or so?
Yeah.
Wow.
Going through his legs, floating, and throwing it down with some authority. I think that's overlooked a little bit. He doesn't just get that in. I mean, there's some power there, and Steph Curry knows
He
it.
loves it.
It's over. Let's go home.
And the number 1 dunk from this dunk contest, could be the best dunk contest ever,
man.
was the air chair. Aaron Gordon going underneath both his legs, getting way up. Stuff the Magic mascot.
Yep.
Passed that ball very
It
nicely.
wasn't on the funky duck, though, for that.
No funky dunk.
Next year,
needed.
that's what it's going to be.
Well, okay, so that's funny. You brought it up there, Tass. There's sort of 2 questions with this. One, should they have maybe had co-winners?
I
Because a
think
lot
so.
of people think Gordon sort of got robbed and that he at least should have been a co-winner, if not the outright winner. You think so?
Yeah, I think I wanted the one-off dunk after they were tied after the first 2 in the finals.
Right.
But they went to 2 more dunks. Now you're just asking. You're milking it, you know?
Yeah, just waiting for somebody to miss, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
We had
you're right.
6 consecutive 50s in that second round. Just call it.
I don't think anyone would have been mad either.
I don't know.
really don't.
I think people would have been like, you've got to award someone a
Yeah.
winner.
I
That
don't
has to
think
We
be-
all
so.
did
I
want
actually-
another one, though. We were all,
Yeah,
as much as I
exactly.
say that now,
Yeah,
we
it's
all
like,
wanted
just,
another.
Just let them keep going until one of them wins. I think that's what it would have been.
And can we
said,
agree,
you know?
probably top 3 dunk contests of all
Oh,
time?
easily,
You know,
easily,
you
yeah.
know, of course, Jordan Neek, and
Yeah.
then probably Vince in 2000.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
but
whether
this
you,
had more dunks than Vince,
Oh,
and
yeah,
this
Vince-
had better dunks than Jordan Dominique. I think you can clearly say the
just-
dunks are better.
it just didn't
It's
have the
they
star power.
Didn't have the star power. I mean, the dunk contest evolves. That's what
Yeah.
happens.
unbelievable. All right, well that's Saturday night on Sunday Task. I can't believe it happened, but we had an all-star wedgie.
Even the All Stars wedging in every once
Oh
in a while.
yes, Isaiah.
Isaiah Thomas in Toronto, popping that wedgie. That's number 30 on the season. We've got 30 wedgies.
All
this
right.
year. I love how it was on the biggest stage. People seeing
Everybody
what-
watching.
Andre
Everybody.
Drummond could have let it breathe a little.
That's
Yeah.
a fair point, Lee.
But I think the All-Star game, it takes so long as it is.
Yeah.
He's like, let's just get this out of
That's
here. Let's
true,
go. Let's
yeah.
go.
Well, since we're talking All-Star, there is still one bit of unfinished business we have. If you checked our grams over the weekend, or if you watched any of our live shows, you surely saw our cardboard cutouts of us in our 1970s clothes.
Yep.
You know, the one that Masai Ujiri wouldn't trade of me for the real me anyways. Afterwards, we have no idea where they went until they started showing up on social media. The first thing we saw, the official GPB tweeted that he bumped into Tass on the subway, and that is a Toronto subway car.
I paid my fare.
That's awesome.
Then I got an Instagram DM from Joey Ferfari showing off his taco and E-Dog, saying he's going to throw it on the background of his NBA show on the block. It leaves us a question. Where's Fro Skeets at?
Where am I at?
No one's seen this guy. No one's heard from him. And honestly, at this point, I'm getting kind of worried. So tweet us your best answers at #TheStarters. Where is Fro Skeets? Hopefully we can crack the case
Oh,
tomorrow.
maybe you don't want to know.
Yeah, someone burned me probably.
Or he's like in a bedroom somewhere. I don't know.
let's-
Dungeon.
Maybe he went for some froyo.
Let's hope it's not that. All right, if you find Fro Skeets out there in Toronto, or
Where
maybe,
is he?
Or maybe you packed it and brought it home to the States. I don't know. Let us know. All right, when we come back, Lee honors the birthday boy. No, not Todd, our cameraman. Michael Jordan with a very special, solid play. Come on back. You're watching the Starters. Back with the Starters, Lee, you got a special edition of the very solid play.
Taking you back to March 28, 1995. It's a famous double nickel Jordan game, but he was more famous for this pass to Billy Wellington. Oh, beautiful stuff there. Of course, Billy Wellington told us that was the night he and MJ combined for 57 points. That's what I call a very solid play.
Yeah, happy birthday to Michael Jordan. Great stuff. We got a fan sign, Lee.
Yeah, it came from the Rising Stars game on Friday night. This is Spence Fram.
Hold on. I lied. That's not a sign.
Well, I mean,
Scribble.
technically it is a sign, but it's not the most creative one we've ever had. But thanks for sending it in, Spence. It'll be up on the Facebook page, like they all will be.
All right, guys. Tomorrow, we have a very special 1-hour NBA trade deadline show, 6 p.m. Eastern here on NBA TV. Let's hope we have a whole lot of trades to break down. We'll see you then, 6 p.m.
All right, thanks for joining us, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. And remember, any basketball player can be traded, including Manny Pacquiao.
Race tonight, people.